Okay, everybody, thanks for joining us. It is a little after the top of the hour, and thanks for joining the webinar today. This is Valerie Van Boeven, registered nurse, co-owner of Approved Senior Network, and I handle all of the marketing pieces of Approved Senior Network. Today, we're going to talk about recruiting in 2021. Lots to talk about, right? And while I have you, for those of you just joining us, there's a little poll. I said this 3 times now, but we weren't recording. There's a little poll. Let me see if I can bring it up. In your dashboard, if you could vote or just give me an answer as to which platforms do you use for recruiting, that would be great. And I might say that again during the webinar. We're just trying to get a feel for what's going on. The other piece, we're going to talk about questions and answers and all that stuff. So let's get started. All right. So the first thing I want you to know is that if you want to ask a question, what I try to do is get all the way through a presentation and then take all the questions. That way people who need to move on with their day can move on and we're not bogged down with questions during the presentation. So if you go to the questions area, which says Q&A, you can enter your questions there. The answer to the first question that someone posted is, will I be sending out this replay? I will send out the replay. I don't send out my slides on purpose, but I do send out the video replay. So absolutely. And you can share it with anyone you want. It'll be live on YouTube, Facebook, wherever we post it. If you want to talk to me directly or to one of our staff, Bob Costello. Bob is our sales and marketing. He's our business development person. So he is a really great person to talk to if you have questions. I also am happy to answer questions, but you need to go to our website, asnmarketingplan.com/contact us. So if you just go to ASN, which stands for Approved Senior Network, marketingplan.com, if you go to that website, you can see contact us. Just go there, fill out the form. You can also call us at 888-404-1513. And we'll make sure somebody calls you back or texts you back or gets you the information you need. But we really are going to redirect you to contact us. Once we have a little bit of information about you, we will. You'll have the opportunity to set up a time to talk to Bob or whoever you need to talk to, and we'll get your questions answered. If you're a current client of ours, please go to support. You know where the support desk is. Please go there and enter your information so that we can either A, set up a call, or B, answer your question right there in support. So there you go. Enter your questions. I will go through all of the questions. My mouse is so touchy. I'll go through all the questions at the end in the order they were received. So please don't wait till the end. If you see something, you hear me say something, and you want to know more about that, enter your question now so that I don't, so that it's already up there when I get ready to do questions and answers. So we're going to start solving these challenges. This is what we hear. This is what we work with every single day. We have been helping our home care agencies with recruiting for over a year now because it's become such a big deal. It's maybe we're going on 2 years. I don't know. But these are the big focus items that I think, and I know from talking to everyone, I understand the struggles that we need to kind of wrestle with and help start solving. Recruiting dollars, know your numbers, no more wasting time and money. We're going to talk about how you can know your numbers. A lot of folks are just throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks because they need the next human that can blow up a balloon to come into their, to be part of their team. But we're going to talk about knowing your numbers. Recruiting pain points, communication, no-shows, and ghosting. Yeah, we're going to talk about that. Recruiting time, less time up front, more time on the real deal. Retention, always be asking, offering, and honoring. And retention, the house mother effect. Some of you are going to really love that. All right, so that's kind of what's on our agenda today. And again, please put your questions in the Q&A section as we go. Just a little recap, if you haven't ever met us or worked with us, our official name is Approved Senior Network. We've been in business for 13 years. George Novison is the co-owner along with myself. I'm Valerie Van Boeven, registered nurse, and we've been doing this for helping home care agencies market their businesses for a very long time, and assisted living, and lots of other folks in the senior space. We do not work with anyone outside of the senior care space or the home health care space or the non-medical home care space. This is all we do. We don't work with roofers, plumbers, lawyers, any of those folks. All right, comprehensive online marketing is what we've been doing for 13 years, all-inclusive suite of inbound marketing strategies for senior care businesses, organized lead and recruit acquisition. We have a CRM that all of our clients have access to. We call it ASN Spark, and it's for organizing, communicating with leads, referral sources, and potential employees. And then that's just a little summary at the end there. For 13 years, our only market has been home care, home health care, senior living, and other senior service businesses. So that's just a little overview about us. We recognize your challenges. So there's two things that we talk about all the time, whether it's Facebook, on a YouTube video, in an interview that I do with another professional in the market, anytime. These are the two challenges: getting more clients and hiring more staff. These are the two big ones. And lately, last year or so, or even more than that, actually, hiring more staff has been almost more important than having more clients. You all know just as well as I do that a lot of folks are having to turn clients away because they cannot staff the cases they have. And that is a sad situation. So we're going to talk about our efforts and how we are trying to help solve some of those problems. And so here we go. And your target market, of course, are seniors, adult children of aging parents, and of course the qualified caregivers with the right credentials to work for you. So we're going to talk about that today. All right, so where do hired caregivers come from in 2021? This is not official. I didn't get this from anywhere. This is what I see after helping dozens of home care agencies with their recruiting. 65%, and your numbers may be different, but on the whole, paid postings on job sites like Indeed, ZipRecruiter, places like that, about 65%. 20% are employee referrals. For some of you, that's higher, and that's great because those are probably the best employees. 12% come from job fairs. I'm sure that number used to be higher. I'm sure it could be higher, but COVID's kind of put a squash on that. I know people are having job fairs again, which is great, but it's still a challenge. And then 3% down to 0% are walk-ins. So we're relying on our employees, we're relying on word of mouth, and we're relying on paid posting on job sites. And that is costing everybody tons and tons of money, I understand. And so that's why we want to try and help solve some of those issues. What are the successful recruiting senior care businesses doing right now? Well, first of all, recruiting never stops. And I guess most of you who are on this call have realized that. I don't care if every single case you have is staffed today, recruiting never stops because you just don't know when that next call-in, that next termination is going to happen. So recruiting never stops. It's a 24/7, 365 effort. Community outreach. I see our successful businesses doing community outreach. They are participating in job fairs. They are participating and reaching out to local training programs, CNAs, HHAs, colleges, whatever, nursing schools. Before I was a nurse, I worked as an aide in the hospital. Community colleges, universities, automation and personalization. There are lots and lots of platforms out there. I totally understand that. Some of you have your very favorites and you'll never go away from them, and that's totally okay. But automation and personalization is where I see success. Communication by email, text, and voice. All three of those are necessary to get these folks to do what you would like them to do. And then retention programs, retaining those quality caregivers. There's nothing that replaces a great retention program. And it's hard, it's challenging, it's frustrating, but we got to come up with some really good solutions for retention. And I know everybody talks about retention like it's the easiest thing to do in the world. It is not. But we're going to try to address all of these. I added this slide in because I also see a lot of this. Our recruiters, the folks who are on the front line, who are actually doing the recruiting and the staffing, those two people, if there are two, sometimes some of you only have one person doing both. Some of you have two people. I hope you have two because it's both stressful. And what I'm going to ask you as you listen to this presentation and as you take this in, that you think about having a new mindset or a better mindset or a more Zen mindset about this whole thing. Because a new mindset will give you new results. Burnout and just not feeling like you can be nice to people anymore, it will equal to fewer results. I get it. I don't know how you folks who recruit sit behind the phone all day and do what you do. I would be out of my tree. I would need a break. I would need to take a moment and deep breathe or meditate or do something. But I want you to know that no matter what's happening in this market right now, you have to remember that it's not personal. It's not your fault. I know how challenging this is. The no-shows and the ghosting and the crazy stuff. You can't change the human element. You cannot make these people show up. It's a 100% a numbers game. The more people you put in your funnel, the more times you're going to hire an amazing person. And there are amazing people out there who are compassionate, responsible, and they want to work. These people do exist. You probably have them on your staff right now. But you got to know it's a numbers game right now. And this is probably not going to go away for a while. I would also ask that you think in terms of if you've been doing the same thing and getting more frustrated and more frustrated and more frustrated with the results, that you are willing to try something new. Be willing to try something new. Be willing to change it up. Be willing to let go a little bit. I know we all get used to the same routine, the same pattern, the same way, the same process. It makes our lives a little bit easier, especially when something like this is so difficult. But if you think about changing it up a little bit, trying something different, you might get a new result you might get a new mindset, or it might help you with a new mindset. And the last thing I want to say is, having done this with so many of our clients now, think of this as marketing instead of recruiting. We have to shift that mindset. It's no longer a matter of they need us for jobs, it's we need them. So just like you're marketing to get new clients, you should be marketing to these folks. I know it doesn't seem like that should be the way it is, but it really is. So think about marketing, how amazing it is to work for you, instead of recruiting or some mix of that. But remember, the smile on the face when you're on the phone, the kind, compassionate touch is going to go a long way here. All right, so let's get into it. Know your numbers. We're going to talk about no more wasting time and money. This is where maybe for some of you, I know some of our clients track this down to the dollar. They're awesome at it, but most of our clients do not. They have no idea how many hires came from what. So let's talk about it. What is your cost of recruiting? So we know that most of you are doing paid advertising in your recruiting staff time, and pay for your recruiter to, do their job. Some of you are paying for background checks and drug screens. Some of you are paying for software as a service. Some of you are doing a big job of paying for onboarding and orientation, and you're paying for turnover. And we know that the average cost of hiring a new employee, some are a little less, some are a little more. The average cost is going to be around $4,000 per employee. And we also know that if that person that you've just recruited works 90 days, then you recoup that $4,000. If they work for you less than 90 days, you've lost money on that person. These are just averages. Doesn't mean it's the same for everybody, but think about how many people you have turned over in less than 90 days. And the top recruiting sites, I just put this up here as interesting. A lot of you, we're going to take a look at our poll. By the way, if you're just joining us, there's a poll in your little dashboard control thing, if you could answer, it's just one question. If you could answer it, it just asks you which of these you're using. I didn't put everything in there, but Indeed tends to be the top recruiting site. We also know that in the past, and maybe, and still today, I'm sure, we have some folks that I say they're gaming the system, meaning they're filling out Indeed stuff, but have no intention of ever talking to you in a million years. No intention. They're doing it for their unemployment benefits. We know that's happening. We see it happening all the time. It's not new, and it happens. So, top recruiting sites: Indeed, Glassdoor, Facebook, LinkedIn, Google for Jobs, which, by the way, you can't just go there and put a job in. We're going to talk about that. Monster, Zip, Simply Hired, CareerBuilder, Snag, LinkUp, Craigslist, US Jobs, Robert Half, Job.com, and USA Jobs. My CNA Jobs is not in there because this is just kind of a, overall big list. I know My CNA Jobs is definitely a big one for folks here. All right, I'm going to just check real quick and make sure. Can everybody hear me? Will you raise your hand with your little hand thingy if you can hear me and you can see my screen? You can see my screen and you can hear me. Awesome. Okay, I just want to make sure, because I get into this and then somebody will be like, I've never heard a word you said. All right, thank you. I'm going to lower all the hands. Okay, we're going to keep going. All right. Are you tracking costs? That would be my next question. Do you know your numbers? Do you know how to save money? So my question to you is, if you went to your recruiter today, or if you are the recruiter, how many potential new hires are coming from Indeed? How many were hired from Indeed? So how many potential new hires came from Facebook, and how many were hired from Facebook? If you're spending money on these platforms, then you want to know how many came in from that platform and how many were hired. It might be a month later, 2 months later that they were hired, but you need to know these numbers. How many potential new hires from Craigslist are you getting, and how many did you actually hire from Craigslist? I know in California, in certain parts of California, it's $75 to list one Craigslist job under gigs or jobs or whatever it is. And we have clients that are doing that every single week in 3 different towns in California at $75 per town per week. That's a lot of money. So do you know how many people are coming to you from Craigslist, and were they hired? Is it worth your $20, $30, $40, $50, $60, $75 to keep posting that ad every week? Because it gets buried in 5 minutes, right? And for Indeed, if you're spending $10 a day, $20 a day, $30 a day, or you're just lump summing it, however you do it, is it worth it? Did you hire someone from Indeed? How many are coming in from employee referrals? Do you have a referral program going on, and do you have folks coming in from that? Some of you are really good at this, but a lot of you have no idea how much you're spending. It is probably a lot more than you're spending to get new clients right now. And so we think we can fix this. We know we can fix this, but you have to get organized. Yeah. Oh, blip, blip. All right. Are you tracking costs? Know your numbers to save money. So this is a snapshot. This is a screenshot of the inside of this is all demo data. These names are not real. The inside of our CRM. This is the account that we use. We give everyone who's in any of our programs, and especially our recruiting, folks that are in our recruiting program. So we take people from any platform, and we put them into into the CRM, and then we organize them. These are all the job seekers. These are the job seekers that came from Facebook, the ones that came from My CNA Jobs, the ones that came from Indeed. You can see that these people here are tagged not only as a job seeker, but as that they came from Indeed. So we can keep track of every single person forever and ever that came in from Indeed, My CNA Jobs, Facebook. And on the next screen, I'm going to show you something even more important. This is a pipeline, or a set of buckets that show you who was hired and by source. So I know that I got four people hired from Indeed. I got 3 people hired from Facebook and 2 people hired from my CNA jobs. This is just made up data just to show you how you can calculate your return on investment for each of these places where you're posting very expensive job ads. So employee referrals, that doesn't cost you as much probably as, a month on Indeed. So if you can keep track of this, which we do inside of our CRM, then you'll have a much better idea. If you don't need to spend $300 a month on Facebook jobs, don't do it. Turn it off if you're not getting anything. If you don't need to spend, $50 a day on Indeed ads, then turn it off. Or Craigslist over here, turn it off if it's not netting you any new hires. You got to know your data so you know how you can save money. Go with the platform or the top 2 platforms that are actually netting you hires and get rid of the rest. It's not worth your money if you're not getting any new hires. So this is what we set up inside of our CRM so that our recruiting clients can actually see that data. All right, so let's talk about recruiting pain points, communication, no-shows, and ghosting. Ooh, this is all day. So by the way, if you have any questions, don't forget to go to the Q&A section. I'm going to take questions at the very end, and I'm going to go in the order that they came in. So don't wait. Make sure you add them as you think of them so that, you don't have to wait till the very end. All right. Communication methods you should be using right now: texting, email, and phone calls. Everybody's on their smartphones. We get it. You get it by now. Texting is the way to go. Automated and manual. Email, automated. I should have put and manual. And phone calls. These folks, we have automated the heck out of this system, and we can automate it until the cows come home. But these folks, especially if you're in a place where there is a lot of bilingual applicants, East Coast, West Coast, South, phone calls really make a difference. We can't get away from being humans. So texting, email, and phone calls. Now, I see that a lot of you have your texting coming from this platform, your email coming from Outlook, and your phone calls coming from your office phone. But you can do all of this in one platform, all of it, all consolidated into one platform. And what happens is that those potential hires get their texts from the same phone number, their phone calls from the same number, they get their emails directly from you. Much of it can be automated, but again, we still have to put that human element in there. Just texting and emailing, there's less accountability, I think, if you don't add a human voice. Leave them a voicemail. They're not going to answer their phone, right? Leave them a voicemail. So the human element makes a difference here. All right, so we use texting, and we help our clients with texting to do the following. We send out welcome messages. We ask them to fill out information forms, and one information form. This is not an application. Notice I said information form. This is not a formal 5,000 question application. Vet the people fast and know if they are someone you even want to mess with. So welcome, text, welcome, please fill out this information form, quick questions, all your deal breakers, that's it. Schedule the phone interview. They schedule their own phone interview. Believe it or not, they really can do that. They can schedule their own phone interview right there on their phone without anybody having to mess with them or call them. Or you can have them schedule an in-person interview. We prefer that you do the phone interview first, just have a little conversation with them while you're on the phone, get that in-person. If they need to come in, I know everybody's all over the place as to whether or not people need to come in. I assume most of you want somebody to eventually come in and actually physically see you, or you want to physically see them, and they need to bring their documents sometimes. So in-person interview can be scheduled while you're on the phone with them. However you want to do it, and I can say, having done this for a long time now, I don't want to say it is kind of a custom setup. I mean, that's not how we originally kind of thought about doing this for people, But every recruiter, every scheduler, every person who's involved has a different set of needs in every part of the country. Some have really strict rules, some have really lax rules. Just depends on where you are. So we modify the recruiting program and all this automation to meet the needs of the person who's actually, or the people who are actually doing the hiring. So it does kind of become a customized setup. You can ask the person via text to check their email, because some things you just can't send via text. You can't send a full application. You can't send there's things that they need to do. They need to check their email. So, and guess what? We can tell if they checked their email from our system. We can see if they opened it. Appointment and document reminders. So if you need them to go to DocuSign and fill out a document, or you need them to go to ClearCare Online and fill out something, we can send them texts or emails or both to remind them to fill out those documents. And then appointment reminders. You have a phone interview in 24 hours. You have a phone interview in 1 hour. You have a phone interview in 15 minutes. Are you ready? So we can do all of that. And then manually, there will always be the case where the recruiter or the person involved needs to answer basic questions. Maybe they can't find the last text you sent and they don't know what time their interview is, or maybe they can't figure out the directions to your office, whatever. And then email is also used, and a lot of this can be automated, delivering documents for them to download now, or just a link to where they need to go to fill out something. Appointment reminders, document reminders, offer letters. If you send offer letters, some people do, some people don't, you can automate it and send that out. Orientation schedules. What do you need to bring to orientation, if anything? Work schedules, and answering basic questions. So this is kind of interchangeable. Most of the stuff that's in email is maybe a heavier, a lot of more text. You have to keep these texts that you're sending really basic, because if you send a long text, it is a nightmare. Don't ever do that. It doesn't work. So all of this can be automated, but you have to remember that the human touch is still very important. All right, let's talk about phone calls. Phone calls are really important for follow-up, for interviews, putting a voice with the automation, like I just said, answering questions, checking on progress. There's still going to be a need for people to pick up the phone. But by using automation, a lot of automation on the front end, we can eliminate some of that stuff. If we need to, I don't want to have to chase people around to get them to fill out an information form for me, for my deal breaker questions. So let the automation do that. Let the automation make them schedule their interview. And then after that, focus on them a little more and put a voice with that automation, so they know you're a real human and you really do care. All right, let's talk about no-shows and ghosting. Favorite, right? Favorite. Every day. Why? Why is this happening? There's no answer. There's no answer for this. Yes, there are answers, but they're well beyond what we can control right now. Have you ever heard, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change? Whew. All right, remember, it's a numbers game. The more humans you put in the top of this funnel, the more likely a new hire will drop into your bucket at the bottom, or drop out of your funnel, whatever you want to say. You've just got to keep putting more and more people in here. Automate as much as you can up on the top, so that you can focus on the people that are doing the right thing, that really want to work as they come out of the bottom of that funnel. Focus on those people, treat them like gold, because they did what they were supposed to do. It wasn't hard, and they are ready to move forward. So lots of people at the top, those golden nuggets out the bottom, and focus on them. Recommendation. Here's what we do in our system, and you can do this in any system that you're currently using. We tag people as no-shows. So when I say tag, we add a little label to them in their profile. Everybody has a profile once they enter our system, and we tag them as no-shows, so that we know, and the system knows, that at one point they were a no-show. They did have a scheduled appointment with us, but they didn't call, they didn't show. We send one last opportunity to the no-shows. We automate this. So as soon as my client goes in, the recruiter goes in and she says, beep, no-show, a text goes out to that person and says, hey, you had scheduled yourself a phone interview today at blah blah o'clock and you didn't show up. No, we don't really say it like that. If you'd like to reschedule that appointment, here's the link to reschedule. Some do, some don't. Stuff happens in life. Um, some you never hear from again. But that doesn't mean there's an end to this if it's a no-show. And I know a lot of people are like, no show, I'm out. I'm never going to talk to them again. You don't ever have to talk to them again. Let the system talk to them again. Reach out in 30 days in an automated manner and send them another text that says, hey, at one time you were interested in working for ABC Home Care. We're just reaching out to see if you would maybe still be interested. Here's the link to get started, and make them start over again. You don't ever have to talk to that person, but you can bug them one time every 30 days and see. You have a gold mine of people sitting in some database somewhere. In our case, our clients have that database sitting in their CRM account that we give them, and we tell them, reach out every 30 days. Let us set it up so it's automated. You never, ever have to actually physically do anything. We can just have an email and a text go out every 30 days to people you have not hired and ask them if they would be interested in starting that process. You never know. In 60 days from now, that person may be like, I can't take it anymore where I work. I want to move on. And they may answer you. They may start again. If you have 500 people sitting in a CRM system and you're not re-engaging with them, then you're losing money every day, because those people are a gold mine of people who have reached out. There may be people in there that you never are going to hire, and that's important to delete them, mark them, do something so that they're not getting that every 30-day text. But the majority of them, you never know. They may be someone that you'd like to work with, or they would like to work with you. So the same rule goes for ghosting. So no shows and ghosting. Let the system automatically bug them every 30 days. And if you don't like them, delete them from the system. It's okay. Or tag them as do not hire. That's okay to do too. And, leave them. If you want to make sure that you have it recorded that they are a do not hire forever and ever, we make that happen for our clients. So they're not disappeared out of the system, but they never receive any information from you. And if they do try to reapply, a big red flag goes up, do not hire. So that's possible too, but don't let those people sit in that stagnant queue. Reinvestigate, re-engage, talk to them, but don't do it yourself. Automate it so that your busy brain doesn't have to worry about when was the last 30 days? Was the last time I reached out to these people? Just set it and forget it. Like Ron Popeil, set it and forget it. Okay, recruiting time, less time up front, more time on the real deal. The real deal is all that matters. So, you guys know the answer to this better than I do. Where do you spend the most time right now? Where does your recruiter spend the most time? Is it placing ads and renewing ads? Because that has to be done. Is it rewriting the copy so it's better? Is it adding bonuses? What are they doing with ads and renewing ads? Do you know how much is being spent? Are you keeping track of it? Do you know how many people you hired from that ad? Communicating via multiple platforms with multiple candidates. That is where I see a lot of people spending the most time. They're chasing candidates for phone calls, interviews, documents, and they're using multiple platforms. So the last two bullets there is where most of the time is being spent. I'm texting from this platform, I'm emailing from my email, and I'm calling from my phone. And I'm doing all of that with different people in different spots. And I've got Excel spreadsheets, and I've got them over here on ClearCare, and I've got notes, and I've got people down here on this platform. And I've got to check Indeed today. I've got to check my CNA jobs. I've got to check over here. And then, so it's kind of a mess. Now, some people can manage to keep that really organized. I understand that. But it's a lot. And this is a lot of busy work here. So if you find that you're spending a lot of time doing these things, you can kind of stop doing some of it. What if you had a virtual assistant who did all that for you? They place the ads, they know how to write great copy. Woohoo! And they did it for 3 major recruiting platforms. Maybe you pick Facebook, Indeed, and ZipRecruiter or something like that. I don't know, whatever. And then that person went in and extracted all the candidates from those platforms into one CRM account. And then that person started all those candidates with an automation process that chases them for the information and the interviews that you want. So you're no longer checking 3 platforms every day, and you are no longer chasing people about this or that. Put them in all in the same automation. The people who do what they're supposed to do, and trust me, we make it as easy as we can, which is basically just clicking beep, 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 on their phones. They're all on their phones, right? So we make it really easy on their mobile device. If you had a virtual assistant who took care of all this stuff, then your recruiter can focus on those golden nuggets that are falling out the bottom of that funnel and really paying attention to them and really trying to hone in on those folks and get them into orientation and get the paperwork done. They're not over here struggling with Susie, who said, yeah, she wants to come in for an interview, but you're 3 or 4 emails in and a phone call, and you still haven't set a date for that interview yet. Let Susie set her own time and day. And if Susie screws up and doesn't do it or doesn't follow through, text her again in 30 days. Start letting a system take care of all those people, and you focus on the folks that are actually filling out that full application and coming in to see you and doing the right thing. That is what makes more money and more sense. So what could you do with that time saved? You could focus your time and attention on your candidates who are showing up. Focus your time and attention on orientation. Focus on your current staff for retention. Focus your time and attention on document collection, because I know that's still an issue. Focus on retention. Focus on the things that are going to keep that staffing person really happy. Focus, focus, focus. Let the riffraff go over here and put them in an automated system. And when they come through and they do what they're supposed to do, that's when they get your time and attention, your recruiter's time and attention. Now, it's not always that easy. And yes, there's some back and forth occasionally, but the more you let the system automate what you're doing, the more you get to focus and the less you have to hire, hopefully. All right, let's talk about hiring bonuses. Do they work? Sometimes, yes, they do. Do they work for the right reasons? I don't know. I've seen some really crazy bonuses out there, like $1,200 signing bonus. Oh, for an aide, that's a lot. That's way out there. I'm usually seeing more in the $250 range, 200, 250, 100. I've seen 500. Ugh. So sometimes it does work for your ads. But I will tell you this, if you're even thinking about doing sign-on bonuses, please make sure in writing with your recruiter and your staffer that you have strict parameters. Put them in writing, give it to the candidate, and make sure they are followed to the letter. You do not hand somebody $250 the first time they work. That's not how this works. You have to parse it out over time. Get them to that 90-day mark so that at least you're retaining your $4,000 or you're breaking even on that $4,000. Make sure that the higher the bonus, the longer you parse it out. If it's $100, give them 50 after they work 20 hours, give them the other 50 after they work 40 hours or something like that. You can come up with what the parameters are. That's not my gig. But please put them in writing and put them in their face and make them sign it. They understand how that bonus is going to be delivered to them, and make sure your staff understands it. If you're going to offer it, you got to follow through. The other thing, I'm not going to belabor this. I will send out links to this. Instead of cash, some of our clients are doing restaurant and hotel discount vouchers. We offer, they do it through us. We do not make any money on this stuff, but it's just a nice thing to do. So for instance, we had a client just today, I think, or yesterday, send in a whole list of new hires, and all of those people are getting their restaurant vouchers. It costs the client $8 every time we run one of those. It's a $100 restaurant discount card is what it is. So it costs my client $8 for every single person on that list that they want to give it a discount voucher to. Better than $100, right? Better than $200 hiring bonus. They give them restaurant vouchers. So on that, what happens is then it actually costs us $8 too. So we're just helping. We're not making any money on it. So they say, I need 15 of those restaurant vouchers. Here's the person's name and email address. And what we do is we enter them into this little system for them, and boop, the person gets an email, and ding, they get their little restaurant voucher, and they can use it anywhere near them. It's not just chain restaurants, it's a lot of local stuff, little bitty mom and pops. I've used it, I've tried it, it does work. Mom and pop stuff, big franchises across the country. They can go to a nice dinner, they can go to, a cheap place, they can go to Subway, and sometimes it's like a buy one get one free. Sometimes it's 10% off your meal, so anyway, it's just like a coupon book of things, but it's all on an app, it's all on your phone. So, and then the hotel vouchers work the same way. $100 hotel voucher, they can take a nice little staycation. They're not going to use the whole $100. They're going to like get 10% off their bill, or they're going to get something. So most of the folks that you do this with us, they do put it in their ads, the restaurant vouchers. They don't do the hotel vouchers because that's a little more complicated, but they use the restaurant discount vouchers, and they are emailed directly to the person. You don't have to do anything. We just send you the receipts for all of the vouchers that we just ran. You can keep track of it in the CRM, hired, vouch in, and then just put, voucher next to their name so it was sent to them. So anyway, try restaurant discount vouchers. Instead of spending that $100, try $8 per person that you actually hire. And you can give that away right away. As soon as they turn in all their documents, you don't have to wait 6 weeks to give them a restaurant voucher. Make them take their first set of hours, and here's your restaurant voucher. It's cheap. All right, retention. Always be asking, offering, and honoring. For a very long time, before we ever helped with recruiting, we asked our clients over and over and over again to please send in their company news for their newsletters. We create newsletters for our clients that have nothing to do with recruiting. And we asked them, pick a caregiver of the month. Please pick a caregiver of the month. Take a picture of that person. And this is before COVID. You can still do it now, but it's a little bit harder. Give them a bouquet of flowers. And I'm not talking that you spend like $100. I'm saying, a little nice bouquet of flowers from the grocery store, a certificate, a little something that you want to give them to help with gas money, or a Visa gift card, something like that. Honor that person. Please pick someone to honor them. It will help. And then we asked them to send us that information so we can put it in your newsletter. And I got to say, to this day, when we first started hammering on people to please have a caregiver of the month, a caregiver of the quarter, a caregiver of the year, let the prizes get a little bit bigger as you go, that helps with retention because you're honoring those folks. And when you put that in your newsletter and you send it out to everybody, then the other caregivers are like, I want to be caregiver of the month. So it helps. Every little thing you do, recognition and rewards, ask them for their opinion. I just talked to someone the other day that asked me, a client that asked me, can we send out a text to all of our current staff once a week? Not all of our current staff, our new employees once a week for the first, say 6 weeks of their employment. And can we ask them how they're doing? Are they okay? Do they need anything? Is there something they need to talk about? Can we help them? I think that's a great idea. They think that once they're hired, they're never going to hear from you unless it's about their schedule, their pay, or can you fill in a shift? But what about sending out an automated text that asks them how they're doing? And a human really does answer them if they reply and say, I'm having trouble affording gas, or I'm having trouble, getting to this, or transportation is a problem for me, or whatever. What if you asked and you got the answer and you helped them solve the problem in some way? So build employee engagement, ask them questions, text them and ask them how they're doing. Recognition and rewards we talked about. Recruiting the right employees, that's a tough one. I know that like I said in the very beginning, sometimes we're recruiting anybody who can blow up a balloon right now. Some states are very strict about who you're recruiting. Some of those restrictions have been lax because of COVID. There's all kinds of things out there, like, we talk about, in the past, I've seen people do personality things. Well, we need to get them to fill out a freaking full application, much less do a personality assessment. But I would agree that hiring the right employees is super important. And I know you all know that. Create an exceptional onboarding experience. And I wonder how many of us really do that. I know that your onboarding, your orientation is, it doesn't need to be complicated, but to really create a nice experience for that person is really important. So take a look at what you're doing for onboarding now and maybe up the game a little bit. We also help our clients with that, not in a physical sense, but online. We make sure all their onboarding documents and all of their orientation documents can be kept in a password protected place. If you don't already have something like that, we have that capability inside your own CRM account. Provide avenues for professional development. What can you do to help these folks get to the next level in their life? If they're a CNA today, maybe they want to be a nurse tomorrow. Build a culture of employees that want to be build a culture that employees want to be part of. I don't know why I wrote that sentence weird. So it comes from the top down. If your attitude is, everybody else below you is going to be, make sure that, the respect and dignity is always there. Offer winning incentives. We talked about restaurant discount cards. There's 1,000 other things you could do. Gas cards are probably pretty important right now. Gas prices are so high. It's always important. Maybe it's a local grocery store. Whatever it is, think about the things that you can do, the little things. Manage to retain. Manage them with the attitude of, what can I do to help keep you here, to keep you on board? Manage to retain. And then prevent burnout by focusing on employee wellness. Anything you can do for up here and other ways that you can help people with employee wellness is really important. All right. I'm going to talk to you about something that's a little out there for some of you, and you'll never do it in a million years. But I've seen this happen, and it works, okay? So some of our clients they use what they call the house mother effect, and they might not call it that, but if you've ever been in a fraternity or a sorority, you might know what a house mother is. Or if you've ever, I don't know how to explain this. Y'all get it. A house mother is somebody that lives in the house and they kind of just take care of everybody, like a residence assistant in a dorm, or I don't know, something like that. All right. So instead of calling it a house mother, right, because we don't live with these people, we might call it the director of caregiver success. You can think of 1,000 different names for this. It's someone who's trusted, who's well-liked, who's a problem solver. And I would tell you right now that it might not be the staffing person. It might be, if you're small and you're not going to hire a whole person for this, it might be somebody else on your team that is not involved with the staffing and the hours and the call-ins. It might be somebody else. It might be some caregiver that's been with you for a million years. It might be, it might be the owner. It might be somebody who can take on that mothering role or that trusted role, who can be well liked, who can be a problem solver, sort of a hostess, so they're welcoming that person. I know social amenities and entertaining is ridiculous, it seems like, but sometimes, sending them a little welcome gift, we're not talking about $1 million here, and sort of following up, meeting them in person is really important. An educator, someone who's teaching your agency's values, the values of cooperation, the etiquette, and your process. So someone who's willing to do that as needed, a consultant, someone who might be a counselor, an unofficial counselor. You know that everybody that works for you is going to have issues. Everybody's got issues in their life. And if you can be that unofficial counselor for those caregivers that are out there who are also trying to raise kids by themselves or whatever it is that their challenges are, it's really helpful. and a communicator, someone who can make sure that if there's a change in the rules or a change in a schedule, or a client has passed away and they don't need to go today or whatever, if there are interagency communications between HR and staff, between family and staff, someone who can make sure that that message is heard. This is a very personal position. Someone who's not burned out, who's not already like, somebody who can be a mothering type. That's hard. That's not me. So, but those agencies who have this kind of role, and they have parameters, they can actually give out a gas card if they need to, or they can call an Uber. They have some flexibility in their ability to problem solve, if help them find daycare or whatever. If there is a person on your staff that might meet that role and be willing to do that, or you hire somebody who could do that, that's a really good way to help with retention. It's not going to work every time. People are still going to disappear. But if you have someone who is dedicated to their success in life, then you're going to have a much better, I don't know, I guess, ratio of people who stay versus leave. So that's my house mother effect talk. So who, what, how, and where? How do we get to all of this? And by the way, don't forget, if you have questions, please, please, please write them in the Q&A section, because we're coming to the end of this and I want to go through the questions really quick. So Q&A section, add your question in, whatever it is, I will go through all of them and answer it. I only see 7 questions there, so be sure to add your questions. So everything I just talked about, you can do on your own with your own systems, with your own stuff. If you already have everything in place that you need, you certainly don't need anything from us. And I'm so glad that you do, because I know how hard this is. But for those of you who are looking for something to help, if you're looking for a change, if you're looking for a new mindset, if you're looking for something to help that front end, take that pressure off, and let your recruiters focus on the middle and the end part where people are actually doing what they're supposed to be doing, then that's where we come in. We do place ads for caregivers, RNs, LPNs, CNAs, HHAs, or you can use your own current ad system. We don't have to get involved if you don't want us to. But what we do is, when candidates answer the ad and they answer a few qualifying questions, our CRM, which we call ASN Spark, it was developed just for senior care marketing and recruiting. Our system communicates via text, email, and phone. The candidate self-schedules their interview. They are sent reminders via text and email 1 day, 1 hour, and 15 minutes before their interview. And the best candidates self-identify by booking an appointment with you and fast-track their path to employment, saving you valuable time. That has always been the basics of our recruiting program. It is so much more than that, but this is just the basics of what it will do. So we show you where you are spending the most money. We show you where new hires are coming from, which can save you money, because you might as well turn off anything that is not netting you a new employee. All the jobs that we post for our clients are also posted on bestpaidcaregiverjobs.com. You can go there and look at it anytime you want. All of those listings show up in Google Jobs. So you know that when you post a job on Indeed, Zip, any of the job things, that Google picks that up and posts it on its job. You can't go to Google Jobs and post a job. It has to be on a platform that actually is coded correctly, and Google sees it and says, yes, 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 and lists your job. We do that. Bestpaidcaregiverjobs.com is all about getting more caregivers into the system. When people come into our system, we send them to whoever is in our recruiting program. That's basically how it works. So if they come to us and they fill out our form, which asks pretty much all the questions you would want to ask, then we forward them on to you, because you're in our recruiting program. So I don't know if there's 400 right now have come in the last week. So, and all over the country. And we can change where we need more caregivers. So people come in all the time. Better organization and communication with applicants. That's what our system does. Training is provided for all of your staff and follow-up training. So we have a big training. We have videos that you can follow up and watch. And then we have follow-up training. I tell people everything is ready to go. Let's do this. We do our training, and then it's just Zoom. And then for 2 weeks, go with it, learn it, get used to it, and then tell me in 2 weeks what you want to change. Tell me what's not working. Tell me what you don't understand. Tell me what you need to do to make it better. Tell me that you're logging in and taking care of stuff, or you're not, or whatever. So let's figure it out. We also have a support desk that is answered all the time. It's not 24/7, but pretty much we don't get tickets at 3 a.m. for recruiting. So, but we're really fast with answering tickets. Everybody, and then to schedule an appointment for more training or a phone call, it's pretty easy. It's customizable to your recruiting staff needs. We will set it up to work however you want it to work. We ask you to work with it, kind of the basics, for a couple of weeks so you can get used to it. And then we have customized out the wazoo. I mean, I can't even go into all the different variables and options that there are. We can make it do whatever you want it to do, pretty much. Full caregiver re-engagement system with stagnant candidates. So a stagnant candidate is what I described in the very beginning. It's somebody who didn't do what they were supposed to, didn't follow through, didn't get through it. And you have 500 people sitting there that, maybe over the last 3 or 4 months, didn't follow through. Let's stop that and let's get you the most return on investment. And every 30 days, let's send those people a text and an email that says, hey, at one point you were interested in working for da, 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 da. If you're interested, here's where you can start that process again. So re-engage. Don't let those 500 people sit there in your database. Let's get them moving. 2 or 3 of them this month might take an action. 2 or 3 next month might take an action. So we don't want those people to sit there. It does cost less than Hireology, MyCNA Jobs, and most recruiting platforms. If you want to know pricing, we do pricing. We do a consultation and talk about pricing. But if you know how much Hireology can cost, especially when you start adding stuff on MyCNA Jobs and most recruiting platforms, as you start adding stuff on, it gets more and more expensive. We do have a base price, and then we only have 3 add-ons, and they're not that expensive. So typically we cost less, and we try to save you money every step of the way by telling you what you don't need to be doing and what you do need to be doing, focusing more on as far as, where you're spending ad money. And we help with copy. So if you want to get more people in the door, the copy in your ad makes a whole lot of difference. They're only going to read the first 3 lines in the headline. So they need to be the best first 3 lines of your life. So we help with that. All right, don't forget to add in your questions in the Q&A section. All participating organizations receive a branded career center. If you've ever used Hireology, you know that they set up what's called a career center or a job center. I don't know what they call it. We do the same thing. You have your own career center, so we send people directly to the career center, and that is what starts the automation. So the pictures you see on the left-hand side of my screen is the entire website from top to bottom. I just couldn't put it all in one long thing. So at the very top, it's your organization, whoever you are, it's your colors, it's the pictures off your website. We create that for you. They hit apply now, and boom, that automation starts with texts and emails. It's a branding landing page or mini site. It has your about us, your open positions, your information form, the self-scheduling center. And these people are walked through the system step by step. It's automatic. You can put a full application on there, not recommended. And you can have a document upload center. There's lots of stuff you can do that is optional. This is kind of what it looks like. So at the very top, candidates enter the funnel from various sources: Facebook, Indeed, Zip, MyCNA Jobs, Craigslist. And once they enter that funnel, we start what's called the chase. We chase them. The system does. You don't. You let that go. The system chases them to get them to fill out an information form. It texts them and emails them for 4 days to get them to do that. After 4 days, it stops if they don't take an action. If they do take an action, it stops because they've taken an action. It also chases them for 4 days if they don't go ahead and schedule their phone interview or whatever interview you want them to do. If they don't schedule it, it will chase them for 4 days to get them to schedule it. You don't chase them, the system chases them. And then after that, if they're hired, you decide what you want the system to do, and we walk through that and decide what happens. You can decide full application, in-person interview, but the result is less wasted time, better results, and no more chasing candidates. So we take the front end off and let you focus on the back end, and that is seeing their faces, getting the full information, the full application, and getting the documents, which is hard enough by itself. But the more people you put in the top of that funnel, the more you can focus on the people who actually went through the system and did this easy process. This is not rocket science at all. Anybody can do it. And lots of people do it every single day. We watch this happen all the time. So that is kind of how the system works. All right. I'm going to go to the questions. Enter your questions in the questions area. All questions are answered in order. Here's what I want you to do if you want to talk to me or Bob Costello. Go to asnmarketingplan.com and look for Contact Us, or you can go straight to Contact Us. Take a screenshot of this if you're able to. You can call us at 888-404-1513, but if you go to Contact Us, fill out the form, we'll have more information about you and what you need, and you can set up an appointment right there when you fill out that form. All right, so let's look at our questions here. Also, if you came in late, there is a poll. There is a poll under polls. There's one question. It says, which platforms do you use to help with recruiting? Select all that apply. If you can please put some numbers down there or select the ones that apply to you, that would be great. We're just kind of doing an informal poll to see what people are using. I've got 59% of you right now are using Indeed, 25% Craigslist, 14% ZipRecruiter, 23%, MyCNA Jobs, Facebook, 50%, ClearCare Online, only 7%, Hireology, 20%, other 16%, and none of these, 13%. So if you could answer those questions for me, that'd be great. I'll send out the poll results. It'll be just interesting to see what everybody's using. All right, so let's go to questions. All right, first question on our list, and by the way, you can still enter your questions in. Valerie will be sending the participants a copy of this presentation. I will be sending you the video. I do not send out my slides. This new mindset, new results is a great reminder. Thank you. If you're burned out, you're not going to be able to recruit. If your recruiter is burned out, if they're negative, if you're a staffing person, I mean, I see this all the time. The way the office staff treats these caregivers is really important. And I know you're tired of people calling in, and I know you're tired of ridiculous excuses, and I know you're tired of problems, but the way you treat the staff that's out there in the field gets you some good reviews on Google or some really crappy ones. And I have seen the results of a really negative office staff and what happens to people. Don't do that. Try to get past it. Get past it as a group, as a team. Hire somebody else, whatever you got to do. The positive mindset is the only way to go here. How do you define potential new hires? Is this the same as applicant? Yes, a potential new hire is the same thing as someone who applies. This person has passed all of your deal breaker questions. They have, I'm making this up, everybody has their own deal breakers. And maybe they're a certified home health aide in the state of New Jersey, and they have a car, and they're a driver, and they have a driver's license and auto insurance, whatever your deal breakers are, that is what a potential new hire is. Does your recruitment platform integrate with scheduling software like ClearCare? It does not. We do not integrate with ClearCare. Nope. We have looked into it, and we've had a couple of clients call and look into it, and to get an API connection from ClearCare as a client to our platforms, it's sales, marketing, and recruiting, would cost that client an additional $8,100 per year, and that is ridiculous. So no, we do not integrate with ClearCare. I wish there was an easy answer to that. It would be great, but that is not on the table. Will we get a recording of this session? Absolutely, you will. Will your recruitment platform provide analytics? Can we see how many applicants per week, per month, no show hired, et cetera, where each applicant is in the pipeline? Yes, you can get all of those things. You have all of it at your fingertips. The more you use it, the more data you have coming out the other end. That's why we say that if you want to know where all your new hires are coming from, and you want to cut costs, quit advertising on Facebook if it's not netting you any new hires. Quit advertising on Craigslist if you're not getting any new hires. Stop the spend. So yes, we can see everything. How many applicants, how many no-shows, how many you hired, where they are in the pipeline. Have they scheduled their appointment? Have they turned in their documents? You can see everything. What is your experience in working with Handshake in recruiting with local colleges? I have not worked with Handshake in recruiting with local colleges. We are pretty much just doing the software as a service. I highly recommend that whatever you do, you go out and network with local colleges that have nursing programs, health careers. Please make sure that you're hitting it hard, because those girls and boys need jobs and they need real world experience. Do you have to post to 3 job sites? If you've historically had a poor turnout from a job site like Facebook, for example, can you just target ads to 2 or 1 job site? You can do anything you want. You do not have to go to 3 job sites. We have people that just do My CNA jobs. We have people that just do Facebook, just do Indeed, just do ZipRecruiter, or some that do all of them. Some just do Craigslist. You can ask us to go to those sites for you, re-up the ads, make sure we extract all the new candidates that are coming in from those, put them into your CRM for you, and start the automation process. We don't have to do any of that, but we certainly will if that's something you want to add. We will absolutely do that for you. How are online reviews from caregivers managed? Well, I'm not sure exactly where you're going with that. But I can tell you that if a caregiver is upset, they will leave a pretty crappy review. You can't do anything about reviews that are left from humans on Google, Facebook, or anywhere else. You can't get them removed. You can request that they be removed, and sometimes they are. You can report them as a conflict of interest. You're not supposed to have your employees reviewing your business. So you can say that it's a conflict of interest, but that's all you can do. We can't stop them from doing anything. They're of the age typically that they absolutely know their way around Google, and they absolutely know how to put on the hurt, and their friends know how to put on the hurt when they're disgruntled. And there's really, it can be for anything. So we don't manage caregivers as far as leaving online reviews. We don't want them to, but it happens. How long do ads run? That's an interesting question. Ads run perpetually until you turn them off. So if you have a Facebook ad, we typically set it up to go at whatever daily dollar amount you want it to run at, or Indeed or ZipRecruiter, and you tell us when you want to turn it off. That's why it's so important to keep track of how much you're spending per day and where your new hires are coming from. You can turn an ad off if you don't like it. If it's not producing anything, don't spend any more money on it. Can you please give us a ballpark price range for pricing before consultation? Thank you. No. Yeah, $265 a month is the very base price, I think. Oh, George is probably gonna, I don't know if that's right. Somewhere in there for the base price. It depends on what you need and what you want. But we have talked to lots of people who've had other platforms, and we know that we are cheaper than the other platforms. So. But we do love the automation part of this. I hope that y'all fill out our little contact us form here. If you're a current client, go to the support desk. Don't fill out the contact us form. Go to the support desk and ask questions, and we'll help you. It's really about whatever platform you're using, whether it's ours or somebody else's. It's really about using it to its fullest potential. And I see the challenge that sometimes people aren't using it to its fullest potential. We do have clients that use it absolutely to its fullest potential all the time. I mean, we're learning new things every day that people want, different kinds of automation, turning off automation, turning on more automation. Everybody's different. But when you are not, whatever platform you have currently, if you use it to its fullest potential and it's still not giving you the texting, the emailing, the calling, the opportunity to automate a lot of that stuff, then it might not be the best platform in the world to use. Every platform is going to be a little bit different. So I think that's my last question. Does anybody else have a question? Oh, this was very informative. One of the best recruitment strategy webinars I've attended in a long time. I no longer feel as overwhelmed. Thank you. Oh, that's very sweet. Thank you, whoever you are. I didn't pay anybody to say that. So thank you very much, everybody. I hope you have a great rest of your week. If you're interested in knowing more about what we're doing, please go to our website. You can read about it. You can see it on the, you can fill out the contact us form. We're happy to talk to you about it. And if not, I hope this helped give you some new and fresh ideas about recruiting. Thanks, everybody. Bye.